Woohoo, we're live. This is Math 75, section 2.3, page 2. Very exciting. And it says if time, and of course we have time. We have nothing but time right now. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through the process of graphing an entire profit function. This is very exciting. So one of the downsides of WebAssign is when we do homework in WebAssign, you can't actually graph in WebAssign. So I would encourage you to grab some graphing paper, some grid paper, and actually practice graphing this, because on your homework, you won't actually be asked to graph. You'll be asked multiple choice questions about graphs, and you'll be asked to draw a graph using 2 points, but you won't actually get practice with this. So, and to begin with, as always, I haven't left myself enough space. So I've copied the problem down, and I will point out that I made one big change. Let's see how to make this straight without making everyone sick. I know, you can't make it straight. It's got to choose that it is straight. But I'm going to get as close as we can for today. P of x equals 80x minus 0.1 x squared minus 7,000. I've changed it to P of x equals the opposite of 0.1 x squared plus 80x minus 7,000. So I changed the order. I put the x squared first. This all seems very bright. I'm going to play with the lighting a bit. Oh, no, that is just the lighting around here. Okay. Yeah, I think that's as close to straight as we're getting today. I've got my handy dandy cheat sheet, and I did scan this. This is part of either 2.1 or 2.2. It may be 2.2. I did scan this one little sheet, so if you like it, you could print it out for yourself, or at least have it in PDF form on your device. These are the things that you have to memorize for quadratics and / parabolas. So the first thing we're going to look at is the fact that this is going to be a parabola. I've got the x squared right there. I've got it in descending order, x squared, then x, then the constant. And so the first thing I look at is I look at the a, and if the a value is positive, we're smiling, and if the a is negative, we're frowning. In this case, the a is negative 0.1, so it's negative. So this is a parabola that opens downward. Woohoo! Now, if you know you're dealing with a parabola, remember that I'm going to encourage you to graph using 4 or 5 points. And the way that I go through it, the process I have for my points, is I start with the easiest one first. I just plug in 0. So when x is 0, I mean, really, you don't have to go through all this work if you can just read it off. These both become 0, and I just have negative 7,000. So that's the first point. That is going to be when x equals 0. So in other words, this is the y-intercept. Now it's up to you what point you do next. The way that I just always do it is the next point I look for, or I look for what happens when the profit is 0. So the other intercept, this is going to be the x-intercept. So this is the one where we set the whole thing up. X squared plus 80x minus 7,000 equals 0. And what I'm going to say is this is a problem where factoring totally works. So if you know how to do this with factoring, do it with factoring, because it is a lot faster for those who are really good at it. Factor away. Go get them, tigers. For the rest of us, we're back to the cheat sheet, because we're back to using the quadratic formula, which hopefully by this point I've been writing it and we've been saying it. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. When we have this situation equaling 0, which is what we have when we're looking for x-intercepts, then I've got a equals negative 0.1, b equals 80, C equals negative 7,000, and x equals the opposite of b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, which in this case is negative 80 plus or minus radical 80 squared minus 4 times negative 0.1 times negative 7,000 all over 2 times negative 0.1. Okay, so then this ends up being negative 80 plus or minus something inside a square root or inside a radical. Three minus signs means the whole thing is negative. Oh, and I should be able to do this one in my head, but you know I can't. I think it's 2,800, but I'm going to double check because I always double check. It is 2,800. Yay! So then we get negative 80 plus or minus radical 6,400 minus 2,800 is 3,600, which equals negative 80 plus or minus 60 all over negative 0.2. Almost ran out of room. So then I've got negative 80 plus 60 all over negative 0.2, or negative 80 minus 60 all over negative 0.2. So this is going to be equal to negative 20 over negative 0.2, or negative 140 all over negative 0.2. So the two values I think I get are 100, or, and this is x equals 700. Wah! That came out funny. Okay, so my two values for x are 100 or 700. This is if we scroll all the way back up. This is old-fashioned scrolling, hand scrolling. Bespoke, ye oldie timey hand scrolling. Isn't it beautiful? Don't you want to buy? How much would you pay for math like this? But it's free. Okay, so p of x was 0, so the y value is 0. So these two values right here, 100 and 700, are going to be the x-intercepts. And I'm realizing I need yet another piece of paper because, and I'm going to do the last bit there, but why don't I, let's see, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to write in little teeny tiny writing. This is 100, 0 or 700, 0. Little tiny writing like that. Okay, those are my two. So what have I got? I've got a y-intercept, woohoo, right there. And I've got two x-intercepts right there. That's 3 points. The next point I need is I need my vertex. So let me write this down again. And I want the vertex. So handy dandy cheat sheet right there. Remember that if you know the quadratic formula, this part that's painfully yellow on the video, but is actually not that bad on the cheat sheet, that part is right here. That's the x coordinate of the vertex. X equals the opposite of b over 2a, which is the opposite of 80 all over 2 times negative 0.1, which is negative 80 over negative 0.2, which is equal to 400. So when x equals 400, we're at our highest point, because this is a parabola that opens downward, so this is a maximum. And then I have to plug in p of 400 equals negative 0.1 times 400 squared plus 80 times 400 minus 7,000. These are the problems where I start thinking, oh, I wish I had enough money to buy everyone graphing calculators, because graphing calculators really excel at all this busy work right here. It works it all out for you. It's really lovely. Okay, 400 times 400 equals 16 with a bunch of zeros times a 0.1. So I get let's try it again. I know it's obvious, but I really don't want to mess this up. 1, 2, 3 plus 3, 2, 1, 2, 3 minus 7, 1, 2, 3. So I think the end result is 9,000. So we've got the point 400, 9,000. That's where things are going to get really, really difficult, because when you're actually graphing parabolas, when they get really tall like this, that is going to require some creative use of scale. So I'm going to take all of this, 2 pages worth of work. So these are not simple, just quick problems. These are going to take some time. And I write down all the results. I had a 0.0 negative 7,000. I had the points 100, 0, 100, comma 0, 0, 700, comma 0, and 400, comma 9,000. So that's all the 2 pages worth of work got us to this point. We've got these 4 points. So I'm going to have to be creative when I'm graphing this, because I have to be able to go all the way up to 9,000 and all the way down to 7,000. And I'm going to count. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I hate myself. But for good reason. I only gave myself 15 squares here, which I'm going to have to fix in future versions, because this goes from negative 7,000 to 9,000, which would be 16,000. So 16 squares would be really nice. So I'm going to have to cheat this a little bit. And again, at home, please be using a ruler. You don't want to hurt anyone with math. Oh my goodness. I think there's a good chance that I should get the best teacher in the universe award for that. Look at that. Wow. Okay, so here's my y-axis. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So I'm going to put my x-axis right here. And I'm going to count by thousands. Now, for my rules, my situation, here's x, here's y, you're allowed to just write in one number for the scale. But I think I'm going to put some more in, 3, 4, 5, 6, just so I can double check down here where you can't see. Let me see if I can open this up a little bit and show you a little bit more. Slide it open just a tad. There we go. So that I'm going to draw in the 7,000, and then I'm going to totally cheat. You ready for the cheat? I'm going to make 9,000 up here. I'm just going to give myself space for that. It's going to be a little bit off, but this is difficult times call for difficult decisions. So on the x-axis, though, my numbers are all in the hundreds. So I'm going to have a different scale. I'm going to have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Here's 100. And let's see, I've got 100 and 0, 700 and 0. Okay, and 400 is the one that's going to go up here. Oh, look, this is adorable. Since 400 is a line right here, I'm going to make the O in profit be my point. That's going to be my point 400, comma 9,000. Because again, I didn't make this quite big enough. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is 7,000. This is 8,000. So 9,000 is 1 point above. So I'm just going to make it that the O in profit. And then I've also got a point here at 0, -7,000. So take a look. I've got those 4 points. This is the y-intercept, the 2x-intercept, the vertex. And then if you recall, if you were watching the video from the last time we were graphing, I said, because we know there's symmetry through the vertex, so here's the line or the axis of symmetry, it means on the left, we're going to have the same thing as on the right. And on the left, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, I go over 4, I go down to this -7,000. So if I come to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, I will have a symmetric point right there. These two are symmetric, and that's going to make it easier. Again, try not to draw your graph like a triangle. Try to have kind of a rounded top. I'm going to have this guy come in, come down. Now, if this were just regular old math, I'd go careening through and keep going. However, this is an application of math. And my x values, these are number of units. And because of that, I can't have anything over on the left-hand side. X can't be negative. I can't make -1 burritos. I don't even know what that would mean. So my graph stops right there at that intercept. Okay, I'm going to come over to the other side. Try to make it as symmetric again as possible. I know this is not an easy graph to draw. This side does keep going because you can keep making more. Obviously, your profits, this is P of X, are having a rough time down here. So, you know, your board of trustees might be like, hey, what's going on there? Why do you want us to lose so much money? And if you're Walmart, you could be like, hey, because they're trying to get you into the store. So they make some things really cheap. So you go into the store to buy other things. Sometimes they make things really cheap so they can put their competitors out of business. There's a lot of interesting stuff you can do. So that's actually, I'm pretty darn proud of this graph. It only took us 3 pages, but we got the graph drawn, and now we're able to answer some questions. So find the vertex of the graph, which we did. It's the point 409,000. Is it a maximum point or a minimum point? This is a maximum. It's on the top. And this was because A is less than 0. Woohoo. Once we graph it, these questions are not that bad. Okay. And of course, these problems are like, oh yeah, not that bad, hold my drink. Is the average rate of change of the function from A, which is less than 400, to 400, positive or negative? So in other words, for number C, I'm going to do C in yellow. So something less than 400 to 400, like say a point here, up to there. Can you see? Oh, that's hard to see. I'm going to copy it over in black. Just as long as you know it's not part of the graph. This is just, so that the slope is positive. That goes up. So down here, this is, it's an upward trending. The slope is positive. So it's positive. So that means it's increasing. Which, let's be honest, you can tell that as you read this graph, as you move from the left, and you're going up, so it's increasing. Any guesses what happens after you get to the top? What happens at the top? You go back down again, so it's decreasing. Is the average rate of change, is the average rate of change of this function from x equals 400 to x is something greater than 400, positive or negative? This one will be blue. I just have to find my blue. Oops, sorry. Chaos. I reached for my blue pen and everything fell over. How are we ever going to survive this? Okay. So this is the blue part of the graph. So we need from this point, 400, down to some point on the right of it. So we'll go with that one. That one you can see. And that is a line segment that heads downwards. And in this case, the slope is negative, which means the function at that point is what? You're right, it's decreasing. So this is a new concept. And we're starting to get into, it's not like what is it? It's a maximum or a minimum. It's what is the trend? Along here, the trend is we're going up. So that's increasing. Over here, we're going down. That's decreasing. Now here is the $50 million billion question. What's happening right here at the top? Well, technically right there at the top, it is flat. The slope is 0. That is the moment when you are neither increasing nor decreasing. You finished increasing, you're about to start decreasing, and for a moment, you are doing nothing. You're flat. But it didn't ask us that. Oh, it did. Oh, I lied. Oh, look at that. We're already prepared for problem E. See, this is why I should read these problems ahead of time. What happens to the average rate of change of the profit as x gets closer to 400? As x gets closer to 400, the average rate of change, in other words, the slope, gets closer and closer to 0. As we get to the top of this curve, the pen goes to flat, goes to 0. Okay, so I know this is a long video, but I want to give you some bonus stuff. So now, is everyone left because they're bored? Good. Let's talk about the world. If this is profit, what is this point? Right here, this point, when x is 0, that means you're not producing anything yet. So this is either the startup cost or the fixed costs. This is when you haven't produced anything. And so your profit would actually be negative 7,000 because you haven't made any money yet. So you just have to pay off your debts. What are these 2 points? These are what happens when the profit is 0. These are the break-even points. And this right here is the maximum revenue. Oops, sorry. We're not doing revenue. What was I thinking? Maximum profit. And we presume, we don't know, but I'm going to presume it's in dollars, and that would be $9,000 profit on this. So there you go. Extra bonus math. Let me scooch out even more so you can see all of it. The maximum profit, the break-even points, the fixed cost. You can all see it all in a graph. We did it. We finished chapter 2. I will see you same bat time, same bat channel for chapter 5. Woohoo!